Hey, welcome back to another episode of Tea Time with Tangi. I am your host, Tangi. I am a licensed attorney in Maryland and DC, and I focused primarily on all things family related, which is family-based immigration matters, family law, and family estate planning. This video today is going to be explaining how divorce can impact your immigration status, specifically when you're waiting for an approval on a green card application, or maybe you've been approved for a green card, but it's a conditional green card. And then the other situation is where you are seeking to seeking the naturalization process, which would allow you to become a U.S. citizen. And so I'm going to be talking about how divorce can impact those particular situations. And again, just keep in mind that this is general legal information. This is not any type of legal advice, does not create a client-attorney relationship. And also the laws change all the time with immigration. So just make sure that you're doing your due diligence by checking to make sure that the information in this video is still current and up to date. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the legal tea today of divorce and immigration. Okay, so this situation, it talks about what happens when you get a divorce while your green card application is pending. So when you get married to a U.S. citizen spouse, you would file you wouldn't file, but your spouse would file, your U.S. citizen spouse would file a I-130 application, which just basically gets the process started for your immigrant status. Okay, it's just doesn't have any kind of immigration benefits, and it's not even something that keeps you legally bound to the U.S. if you get approved on the I-130 application. It's the green card application that you really need in order to get status. So when you get to the part of you got approved, the I-130, and now your application for the green card is just pending. If you get divorced, that would impact that application process, because what happens is that in order to get the 10-year green card, you have to be married to a U.S. citizen. And if your divorce terminates that relationship, then that's the relationship that was required to meet the eligibility requirement for the green card. That also was going to be impacted, which would then result in a denied application for the green card. Now, there are some exceptions, such as like if there's domestic violence involved. And I think I did a video about how divorce and domestic violence can impact your status while you're waiting for a green card application to be processed. So in this instance, let's just say there's no DV involved or nothing. This is just a standard divorce situation. You guys didn't get along and now you want a divorce. You will be denied your green card application if you get divorced before the green card application is granted. Now, if you get a divorce after the green card has been granted, then you're fine, unless your green card is granted with conditions attached because your marriage was less than 2 years when you applied for the green card. And so that's what I will be talking about in the next session. Okay, so we just talked about what happens when you get divorced before your green card application gets approved. We discussed that it will terminate the application process and you would be denied a green card. Now let's talk about what happens if you do get approved a green card after divorce. Okay, so after you've gotten a divorce, and then, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Let's say you've gotten your green card and then you get the divorce after your green card. So maybe I might have said it right. Who knows? I don't have my tea. So, anywho, But let's say your green card is a conditional green card, and a conditional green card is granted because your marriage was less than 2 years. Was less than 2 years at the time that you applied for the green card. So if in the event that you have a conditional green card and you get a divorce during that time frame, then that does raise some concerns. It doesn't automatically jeopardize your status in the United States. So it's not like you're going to be put into removal proceedings and your green card gets revoked and all of that stuff. But with the conditional green card, you have 2 years. It's a 2-year period that you have to wait to apply for the 10-year green card. And so what happens is that if you get divorced, normally you would be filing jointly with your spouse to remove those conditions, right? But if you're divorced, then 9 times out of 10, your spouse isn't going to be filing jointly to have your conditions removed. And so then you have to request a waiver to remove those conditions without having to file jointly with your spouse. Now, I highly suggest you seek legal counsel before you do file a waiver and a removal on the conditions, because you can file that anytime within the 2 years. If you got divorced, if you've gotten a divorce during that 2-year period. But the problem that you're going to likely have is that it might raise a red flag with USCIS, because they may start to think, is your marriage legit? Okay, so like, was your marriage a bona fide marriage? Was it entered into without any fraud? And it very well may be a legitimate marriage. However, they are going to scrutinize that waiver because of the divorce that took place before the 2-year conditions had been met. So I say all that to say, you definitely want to seek legal advice before you file for the waiver if you get divorced before your 2-year period is up for you to remove those conditions. And you will also have to submit evidence that shows that you did enter into a bona fide marriage, so that way those conditions can be removed and then you can be granted the green card, the 10-year green card. Now, in the event that USCIS denies your waiver petition, then you will be placed in removal proceedings. So that's why it's really important that you seek legal counsel before you file a waiver if you get divorced during that 2-year period of your conditional green card. Okay? Okay, so we have discussed what happens when you get divorced while you're waiting for your green card application to be processed and approved. We've also talked about what happens if it gets approved and it's a conditional green card. And lastly, we're going to talk about what happens if you get a divorce while you're seeking to naturalize. I don't know why I can't say this word. While you're seeking to start the naturalization process. I don't have my tea, so I'm a little off today. But yes, so if you are, getting a divorce, it's going to affect your naturalization process. Why? Well, because when you are married to a U.S. citizen, there is a rule that allows you to apply for naturalization to become a U.S. citizen within 3 years instead of 5 years. So there are other ways of getting a green card, and when you get when you get a green card that's not based on marriage to a U.S. citizen, you have to wait 5 years in order to apply for citizenship, to apply for the naturalization process to become a U.S. citizen. But if you are married to a U.S. citizen and you're still married and you haven't gotten a divorce and it's been 3 years, you can go ahead and apply for the N-400 application, which is the application for naturalization. However, in the event that you apply for naturalization, if you get divorced any time up until your oath ceremony, your application will be denied. And that's just the rule. So you have to remain married all the way up into the interview and your oath ceremony, or you're going to lose that eligibility of the 3-year rule. Okay, and you'll have to you have to apply for naturalization within the 5 years. So that one is pretty straightforward. There's nothing, to that. And yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got today. So hopefully you enjoyed this this video. It was, if you have more questions or concerns about how divorce impacts your immigration status, please feel free to reach out to me directly. You can find my contact information on my bio page. And also make sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. That way you can just stay updated as to when I post new content. And this might be of help to someone else if you share it. So that's all for now. Happy rest of your week. And till then, bye.